Well, hello. If we've not met before, my name's Sam, and I'll be leading through the Lent reflections in this third week. Today is day 11, and we're in John's Gospel, chapter 12, verses 1 to 7. And this is where Mary anoints Jesus' feet with costly, sweet-smelling perfume. And this is an extravagant act of love. It's a costly gift, a year's wages, perhaps. An act of love that Judas, one of the other disciples of Jesus, soon to betray him, clearly feels like is a waste, and asks piously in verse 5 why this money can't be given to the poor instead of this lavish gift. But this story anticipates two events in John's Gospel that if you're reading along, you're going to be reading very shortly. Because in the next chapter, Jesus will wash his disciples' feet and instruct his disciples to do likewise, to do the same to the other disciples. And Mary here is doing precisely what Jesus will be asking his disciples to do before he's even asked it. But in our minds, we should also be pointed still further in this story. Because this story is really about Mary's courageous devotion to Jesus, but also about her understanding and acceptance of Jesus' death. It's a story pointing firmly toward the cross. And before too long, Jesus is going to be buried, and buried so hastily that perhaps there won't even be time for a proper anointing of his body at burial. And so here Mary is preparing Jesus' body. It reminds us that no gift can be too precious that shows gratitude for what Jesus has done and what he's about to do in the story. And so while Mary is giving her best in preparing for Jesus' death, we see here also Judas, whose greed will cause Jesus' death. And this is a story that begs the question of us as readers: where are we in this picture? Writing about this passage, Tom Wright asks whether we're with the shameless Mary, worshipping Jesus with everything that she's got, risking the wrath of her sister who's behind the scenes doing a lot of hard work. The anger of the men who perhaps don't quite trust their own feelings when a woman lets her hair down in public, and the sneer of the person who knows the price of everything but the value of nothing. You might recognise yourself as back in the kitchen with Martha, too busy with the work of the Lord to sit at Jesus' feet and give him your undivided time and attention. Judas has a reputation, doesn't he, that perhaps goes before him. As the disciples who betray Jesus, he's the one who does it with a kiss. And if you're familiar with the Lenten story, you might naturally distance yourself from association with him in your own mind. And John doesn't waste any ink pretending to the sincerity of Judas's statement, describing him in this passage as a thief. But if we're honest, maybe we look in the mirror and we're just as likely to find plausible excuses for reservedly following Jesus, holding ourselves back from wholehearted devotion of him. This Lent, let's push into spending more time responding to Jesus, offering him our devotion, our attention, free from excuses.